Hello traders, welcome to FreeFX. My name is Francesco. You've seen a lot of my videos. This is actually my 90th video, so it's quite a special one because I started this channel in 2014, and so there's been quite a lot that I've been doing with this channel. The very first video here was Euro USD. As I said, that was quite a long time back, and so I kind of really come a long way from there, and just wanted to let you know, thank you very much for watching my videos, etc. It's really great that you're kind of following me, and I'm quite humbled really, because I started this kind of for myself, like a diary of kind of my trading, um, and really it's been a fantastic journey. As you can see, I've experimented with different presentation styles and engaging with all sorts of topics and things. So, but one of my videos that has really caught my eye in terms of views is this one that I posted a few months back, and this video is really about the CMT program. So you can see that it's got 336 views, and it's really all about me starting the CMT program, and kind of showing the the CMT book level 1. And this one on the 22nd of August. So I started studying in early August. I kind of got the book and really started that. So let me kind of tell you. So this video is about what I'm going to do with this. I passed the exam, got the exam out of the way in December, and this month I basically got the good news that I passed. So the CMT program, there's a little introductory video on the main page here. What is the CMT? It's from the Market Technicians Association, the MTA, an American company, and they have the 3 levels. So it kind of mirrors what the what the CFA program is, and there are other ones like that. The Certified Financial Technician, I think it's called the CFT. And there are other ones that you can do that are kind of similar, but this is one that came up in the Futures Radio Show, which you may be familiar with. That's Anthony Crudele, and he talked about this a while back. And if you're not familiar with his show, I'd recommend that you, he's been with the CME and trading futures for quite some time, and he really is great at talking about stuff that really matters to traders, like what is an edge and kind of how to. And he interviews a lot of people, who are sort of in a business of trading. Anyway, he came up with an episode where he talks about the CMT as opposed to the CFA that everybody kind of in finance seems to have, and really kind of focus on what the advantages of having this as opposed to the other one. So I've done a CMT level 1, and of course, with that in the bag, the next thing would be to do the CMT level 2. And then CMT level 3. Now the first book, the CMT level 1, was 630 pages. The level 2 is about 800 and plus, I think it's 840. So it's a bigger, so there's a lot of kind of stuff that kind of overlaps with level 1. So I was tempted to continue, but the problem is that to get the charter when you get to level 3, eventually, one of the requirements that you sponsor, or that you sort of have a professional kind of experience in sort of financial employment, essentially. That's one of the barriers for me, because I don't have that. And then also the time, because it really quite crippled my finances, paying for the costs. As you can see, registration fees there is, in dollars, that's just the registration fee, and then there's a curriculum, and so I bought the book. It was about £130 in pounds, and the fee was about, I think it was £700. And there's the pack that you get from Optuma, which is like the practice exam. That's another. So it's close to like £1,000 basically. It's quite a lot of money for me, and for 2-3 months after that, I was kind of recovering from having spent all that money on this one exam. And imagine if you don't pass, it's all over again. So it's no guarantee that you pass. Obviously, I did my best, but I did pass. But anyway, so I decided not to go for the level 2 because of all these things and commitments, which means I won't get the charter. I'll just got the level 1. I think I could still be a member, like register as an affiliate member or something like that. I'm not sure. There's different. Become a member. Certainly, if you want to go to networking events, that's a really great. So an affiliate member is where you have access to programs, etc., and you can join the association. And the benefits are obviously that chapter meetings. So the Chicago, the CMT chapter where people meet. And I did go to one of these webinars, and they were great. So obviously, um, there are advantages to being part of a network as well. So the next thing is, so I've got the CMT, and I started applying for jobs obviously while I was studying, because I've been kind of looking into this for a while. Am I good enough as a trader to apply for jobs? And I've gone to something like Glassdoor, which is kind of more appropriate for this kind of jobs. I found quite a lot of jobs here. So recently in November, I applied for OSTC. As you can see, there's a junior trader remote work job, and it kind of explains there that they're kind of growing a company, etc. And I thought they were quite good. The reviews are quite good, quite a serious company, not a sort of scam company. And I applied in November, and they said, thank you very much, great CV, doesn't quite fit with what we do, but they've come up with another vacancy. They're still hiring, are hiring for more people. So I got in touch saying, I finished my CMT level 1, but everything else is the same. So anyway, that's kind of the kind of thing I'm doing, just applying for jobs. In November, I got a job with Simon and Co. Trading. If you don't know who they are, that's basically them. And they're a company who do, they've got a YouTube channel and all this stuff, and they're registered and everything. But I found out that they're basically the broker they use is I think it's called Wild FX or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's kind of really, yeah, that's the one. So that's basically their broker, and I just smelt a rat, basically. I'm sorry to say, because I found out quite a bit of information that somebody else had dug up on another site that kind of looks for, dishonest kind of brokers and trading kind of gurus and all that kind of stuff. And they basically said this company has offices in the Caribbean. I think it's St. Lucia or something. And basically, you've got you basically you can't they're not regulated in the UK. So if you lose your money with them, you basically got to fly there, because they won't have representation except local. So if you want to sort of take them to court, you can't. You have to go there, hire a local lawyer, and sort of take them to court there. Um, Really, wild is probably appropriate. It's really wild stuff, and I couldn't believe it. So I said no. So that was got me very excited that I could sort of work as a trader with trade capital from Simon and Co. And I'm sorry to say it was a big disappointment, and big alarm bells decided not for me. So that was basically one thing that came up. Um, Other jobs I've applied for other things as well, like analyst. Got approached recently by a company who does like options and stuff, who wanted me to be an introductory broker. But basically, I promote their business and get people to trade with them. I really didn't like that at all. So that was very dishonest. Not really good reputation. They basically holding people's money and not paying people's profits. Not very good reviews at all. That's kind of stuff. So I'm looking for jobs. I passed my CMT level 1. I'm doing reasonably well with my trading. I've got capital of my own from this month that I want to trade. And I'm just kind of doing more demo kind of practice and thinking about how I'm going to trade this year. If it's exactly the same, if any mistakes I want to avoid this year. In that, I came up with, I had a couple of conversations with the FCA recently about Simon & Co. and other sort of dodgy dealers, and to report them really for these things that I found out. And I've made sure that they know about this, really, because it's unethical as far as I can see. But one of the things that I really looked for in the FCA consultation was to find out, about what I would have to do if I wanted to trade somebody else's money. What are those kind of regulatory parameters? And I went to see the handbook that they recommended in particular sections. And one of the things that you want to look for as well is the first one, high level standards. If you go in there and you go to there's code of conduct and everything, training and competence. Obviously, FINRA in America have the Section 57 exam where you've got to, I think it's called that, where you got to kind of prove that you're a competent person when it comes to managing other people's money, etc., etc. So if you work for a company, that's kind of what they expect you to pass the exam. If you work for a fund, if you work for a prop trading firm or what have you. Now, in this section, there's a bit here which is TC app for appropriate qualification tables. This is really what it boils down to, and you'll find that if you go down here, there isn't the CMT at all, so the MTA is not listed, and CMT is not listed. And if you don't believe me, just do a find in a text and put CMT, and it's not there, 0 results. So they don't qualify a CMT, so Chartered Market Technician, as which is the exam that I passed, but the level 3, no, they don't qualify. That doesn't qualify to kind of be a regulated, person dealing in either giving financial advice or trading people's money or doing kind of recommendations for investment purposes, etc., etc., etc. So there's a whole list of things here of the kind of certificates that they would kind of allow to kind of as kind of giving you the correct qualification to do certain things. So for example, one of the things they have is the CFA, obviously, the CFA program, level 1, etc., etc., etc. And as level 3 gives you a lot of kind of power, firepower to sort of deal with other people's money, etc. But one of the ones that you can do is the CFA investment foundation certificate, which is free, and you can do that. It doesn't allow you to do much. So these numbers 15, 16, 17, and 18, if you look up here, is basically the activity. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. If you go back up here and look up those numbers, 15 is overseeing on a day-to-day operating a collective investment scheme. So let's say your parents get together and want to invest in you as a trader. That's the collective investment scheme. Now you can have it as an unregulated or as a regulated, where you basically go through the necessary steps, register with the FCA, get approval to do this as a regulated person, which means that there's possibly some protection for the people who put money in your hands, or also for you, so that if you go bust, there's a kind of, well, it depends. I'm not an expert in how a regulated collective investment scheme works in terms of the having a backup, sort of a compensation scheme, if you like, from that point of view. There's also 16, overseeing day-to-day basis safeguarding investments, holding client money. 17, overseeing on a day-to-day administrative functions in relation to managing investments, and these are the things. 18 and 19, overseeing a day-to-day basis administrative functions, and then 19, these are the things, fund allocation switching. Now, what you can't really seem to do with that is a lot more than that, like actual trading and investment advice, etc., etc. So for that, from the CFA, is the program investment management certificate level 4 plus level 1 of the CFA, so kind of 2 combined. So if you do the CFA program plus the investment management certificate unit 1, that's another thing as well. If you do the level 1 of this if you do the CFA program level 1, for example, you can do level 14 and 10. 14 and 10, you know, you have to go back to the column there and find 14 and 10. So there's managing investment and undertaking the activity of a broker, fund advisor, etc. If you want to do actual trading of people's money, there is one here which is it's the I'll try to find it again. Yes, things like giving personal recommendations on securities. You know, so you're basically telling people buy this, sell that. Retail investment products, which are not broker funds. Giving personal recommendations. That's 4 and 6. And then giving recommendations and dealing in securities. You know, so these kind of things require different qualifications. So I'm kind of thinking about my next kind of step. So where should I go with this? And if you see, for example, the investment management certificate, right? There are several versions of this. So it's this one plus level 1 of CFA, the CFA program as a whole plus investment management certificate. Let's call it IMC, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to do the CFA level 1 or the whole of it. As I explained for the CMT, it's just not where I'm at in terms of my time. Level 1 of CFA plus, again, completion of CFA program plus, etc. So it's kind of both combined. Now, if you do the investment management certificate by itself, level 4, plus other qualifications that meet specialist standards for advising on securities, you can carry out activities 2 and 12. Also 4 and 6, 3, 13, and 8, etc. So there's quite a lot that you can do. Now, what these other qualifications might be, it doesn't say. So, you know, that obviously remains to be seen. Which kind of leads me to believe that with those in your bag, you can do quite a lot more, and really you can manage investments, for example, and which means that there's probably a lot more scope for me to go that way. And I've looked into it. Here's the IMC CFA UK Level 4 Certificate in Investment Management. Now there are 2 levels, obviously. Well, sorry, level 4, there are 2 sections, I should say. And you've got Unit 1 and Unit 2. And there are the fees, much cheaper than the CMT or the CFA. It's £280 for the first one and £300 for the other one. That's the exam fee. The manual cost is £105. So when you put the first bit together, it's £385. The second one is £410. So £795. So it's pretty much like £800, which is almost like the cost of what I paid for a single exam, and that's for the whole caboodle. It's for like one whole package, Unit 1 and Unit 2. I've looked at the content as well. That's freely available, and it's things like, you know, the whole finance sector kind of. You need to have an awareness of the whole a whole spectrum of things, from you know, what are the different types of securities, investments, from fixed income to pensions to a whole other things really that are to do with financial advising and yeah, it's investment management. So you're basically managing people's investments and or advising on them. So I'm considering this as a possible go-to place. I don't think the initial certificate introduction to the CFA introduction kind of program is of use. I've actually downloaded that. But so that's something that I think might be useful, and I've got in touch with you. Now, while I'm doing all that, the other thing that I'm really focusing, while I was doing the CMT program, I got free access to a trial version of Optuma, who are an amazing company, started in Australia. Matthew Verdou is the, sorry if I pronounced the surname wrong, it's Verdouw, and he's the sort of CEO, if you like, of the company, and really passionate. And when you signed up with the CMT, Optuma provided you with the Optuma Enterprise, which is the most expensive package there on the right, and you got that for the whole time you were a registered candidate for the exam. So I got that for 4 months basically, and there's a lot of stuff in there that you can use. Unfortunately, I was so busy between the studying and work that I really didn't have time to really dig into this, but I did have a free consultation with them, and we looked at things that could be useful for my trading, but there wasn't really something I was looking for that they could provide there. But essentially, there's quite a lot of scripting and signal testing there. So I learned a bit, watched Matthew's videos about testing, and so there's there's consultation trial videos, and also the whole program for the CMT programmers. Matthew did a whole lot of videos on all the subjects, really organized the curriculum. It was absolutely fantastic. So there are some free videos there. Introduction to scripting, introduction to scanning and signal testing, and the backtester. There's Matthew in all these videos. I would just really recommend you watch some of these because they're absolutely fantastic. So that's the video there that tells you a little bit about scripting and what kind of things you can do with Optuma. And I think that Optuma is very expensive. So if you go back to, there's Matthew there, if you go back to the prices, obviously, you know that the one for you, probably if you work for yourself and just trading for yourself and trying to, is nearly $1,000. So it's quite expensive. If you go for TradingView, obviously it is much cheaper. And the scripting Optuma is their own kind of scripting they use. I'm not sure what, but they've made it so that you can just type in, RSI, and it gives up a whole thing of pre-made scripts that test different things. So it's quite user-friendly if you're not a coder. So that's Optuma there. That's my channel there for TradingView. Obviously, TradingView uses Pine scripting, which again you need to get familiar with, and it's obviously there are videos again and support for that. There's a whole introduction to Pine scripting for TradingView that you can kind of look at, and it tells you what to do. So I'm thinking again, am I mad, or should I just learn how to Pine script and really subscribe to TradingView, which is much cheaper really than Optuma, much cheaper, and I like the forums, the interaction with other traders, etc. So anyway, that's another option. There's also Codeacademy. I looked this up in 2016 when I was thinking that I should teach myself coding for various reasons, but also for trading. Quite ambitious. I started doing a few lessons here, and I gave up because I knew it was going to be a long-term commitment to get through everything and get good at it. So I must say, it's one of those things that I kind of had to let go. But I signed in again just to see if I still had the account. I do, and it basically starts there. So I was looking at Python because that's the one that most people seem familiar with. If you look for jobs at Glassdoor, again, Python is one of the requirements for some of the trading jobs. But it's really just for myself to try and test things without having to rely on scripting made up, sort of pre-packaged, if you like. So this Codeacademy there is free. There's actually a pro package that gives you kind of more advanced things, but the free program is probably enough if you've never done coding. And there's the pricing there. If you do the basic one, you get access to all these things, but you don't get, step-by-step guidance, certificate of completion. But you still get the basic courses and stuff like that. So that's Codeacademy. There was another thing as well which I looked up a long time ago, which was this one. Quantopian was something I was looking up at the same time, where they basically they didn't have forex. I asked them, but they had other things, you know, obviously stocks and shares, indices, and stuff like that. But they basically used you could sort of look up pre-made scripts and testing that other people had devised. It was a way to kind of democratize uh, testing and quant sort of things. Yeah, sorry, just got interrupted there. But I just kind of looked up recently and saw that it was closed down, and basically that the whole experience of this was kind of a failure in a way, in the sense that it was great, but they didn't really manage to beat the market with all the ideas that came from the community. And the people who managed to fund basically moved to they shut their own hedge. Sorry, they moved to what is it, Robin something securities. Yeah, they kind of moved themselves to work for a fund. So yeah, that's the Bloomberg article from December. So essentially, you know, we've got that finished, and I think it's probably enough to move on from that. The other one I looked up is actually two things. Again, thinking about you know, scripting and looking at data more than scripting, looking at sort of testing, all that area that I'm not unfortunately so well versed in, and I'm quite behind the curve. This has been kind of been going on for a while, so it's not like it's new stuff. But I really feel that you know, looking at charts on a screen is great if you're trading patterns or looking at patterns, and so looking at levels and stuff like that is great. For you as a trader individual, you can definitely trade on that if you manage it well. Find sort of, you know, ways to kind of use that edge, or find an edge. But at some point, you do ask yourself, am I going to just be always just looking at price going up and down, not knowing if my strategy has longevity, if it's just like 1 month it works, another one, and then 12 months it doesn't work? Can that happen at some point, and what do I do then? If I want to try another strategy, do I just grind every day, or try to do some way of really getting down to probability, finding a way to test an aspect of that in the decision-making process? And that's kind of what it boils down to, looking at this. So I found Quandl, and there is like a free thing, but unfortunately the sample data seems to be out of date, like 3 years out of date. So essentially, if you put in like FX, give an example, this just found this randomly because I'm always looking for ways to get into this. So FX, there's something about FX flow data, for example, there. And this is provided by CLS Group, and that's kind of the data quality is seen as excellent, etc. Anyway, so you've basically got sample data, and if I show you the sample data there, just to kind of show you what this is, spot flow, I think that's the one I was looking at. Now there it is there. So if I just expand that and show you basically what that looks like. So you see that there's quite a bit of, see if I can actually download that, CSV, yeah, download. And that should really come up in a sec. Let me just open it. That shows you quite a useful thing, which is that we know that there isn't really centralized volume for FX, and that we've got, you know, lots of participants in the market. There's actual, you know, transactions going on around the world. There's people exchange the currency. You know, the retail side. There's actual speculation on currencies. There's hedging with futures, of people sort of who are buying goods in from another country, say importers, want to hedge against the currency price changes by locking in the price of that currency for future delivery. There's all sorts of ways that, and the central banks, of course, and all that. So this kind of, it gives you, here are the currencies on the left there. So there are quite a few. As you can see, that's just the rand, USD, South African rand for lots and lots and lots. In fact, is it all of them? Can it be? Looks like it's all of them just to do with that. But anyway, let's say that we are looking at that as a currency pair, and you can see that it gives you the volume, so buy volume and sell volume there, and then you go down. Now these ones, for example, quite significant. So buy side, sell side, and it tells you what it is. Okay, so price taker, market. So the price taker is buy side, so not commercial, and that's how much they bought. So USD bought and sold that, so they buy more than selling. So they kind of bullish on the USD ZAR. As far as I can understand, that's kind of how to read that. Now non-bank buy side. So buy side could be a hedge fund, for example, as well, I guess. And then some of them, there's fund, for example, there. So the figures are given buy side, non-bank, for example. There's all sorts of things that you might find useful. And if you bundle up all the ones that have actual volume figures together, like at the top, and you can kind of squeeze all the ones together that have actual volume figures and see. It's a bit like looking at the COT report. So essentially, that's kind of what I'm trying to find information that's kind of up to date of this. But I think you have to pay for the service, obviously, to get. One of the things that Quandl gives you is the uh, kind of go back to here, is up-to-date information that feeds straight into your Excel, so you can get data, and essentially that data gets put into Excel format, and then it goes straight into your Excel from whatever markets you're monitoring, and basically your Excel spreadsheet where you have your it's quite similar to Brannigan Barrett on Chat with Traders was talking about the other day. Well, actually, it wasn't the other day. It was that one in December. Yeah, so not long ago at all. And he was talking about how he's not particularly talented. He's basically put a fund together, Habitus Capital, and it's him and two other people, and one of these other people does basically all the kind of spreadsheets, the Excel kind of working that side of things. And basically he said that they're not really using something particularly, or he's not using a particularly difficult, he's using Excel spreadsheets, but they are basically updated daily with all the stuff that he's looking at. And he talks about FX as well, by the way. He's quite keen on FX. And he says that essentially it's systematizing the decision-making process, where you filter things down, so you're not focusing on everything all the time, because your brain can't cope with looking at all that data constantly. But your Excel spreadsheet, he looks at that in the morning, first thing, and basically that will give him what things he needs to focus on. If he's looking for something that has X amount of volatility, there are a number of filters there, so that he's really going to focus on and keep watch on the things that he needs to keep watch on. So I think that's a really good way if you use Excel in that way. And that's kind of going back to what I was saying about Quandl. And finally, tomorrow evening, I've got a consultation with InvestiQuant, and that came up on the Anthony Crudele Futures Radio Show, where they interviewed the sort of the head of InvestiQuant, and how basically this particular service is for traders, and what it does is it's your account. So you, trader, want to trade something, and they basically provide you with the you are basically trading your money with your broker, etc. But they integrate their research tools with your trading, and they basically have give you access to that's kind of the auto trading side of things. What I'm actually going to show you is something else, and that's the auto trading. Sorry, I was going to show you something else, but the research tools, yeah, backtesting, etc. For example. So yeah, IQ Discover. So that's the one I was talking about. Discretionary and systematic traders of futures, options, etc., and equities benefit from this integrated suite of applications that support the trading activities from edge discovery to backtesting, strategy management, and alerting. Unlike other institutional grade offerings, the entire solution is delivered by a single cloud-based platform, 100% interactive and programming free. That's a really important bit. It's programming free, so allowing traders to avoid the time, cost, and complexity of coding and software. So you know, it's sort of there's a number of sort of ready-made. There's all sorts of aspects like Optuma that it can test, but you don't have to script it or code it. They have it all kind of scripted, and you just kind of select what things you want to test. And so I'm gonna ask him about this. I'm gonna set up a demo for me. And I'll see, you know, if I can try it for things. They don't do, I think they don't do forex. It's more like indices and stuff like that. But nonetheless, you know, there are things, you know, like if you do want to do a moving average kind of crossover thing, just to name one that everybody talks about, but it's not one I'm interested in. But just to say, you know, you can test that and then see what edge you have or not have, etc. So that's basically where I'm at. Sort of very long video, but just wanted to update you on where I'm at with my trading career and things. So just thank you very much for all your support, sort of watching my channel, and really for your comments, and please keep them coming. I hope this is helpful because some of you are looking for you know, training, maybe retraining into sort of trading and thinking about how to progress that and what kind of options there might be. If you're UK based, this might be useful, but if not, even so. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, and bye. Happy trading.